Good evening and welcome to our edition of The Link this week. We always keep our promise to give you information that you can use and opportunities around money, investment, and things that can affect your business. And tonight we're sharing information and we're discussing insurance. Ahead, sometime later this month, there's going to be the Insurance Week, and we shall hear briefly something about that, in which you have an opportunity to interface with the insurance players. This particular show today is powered by or brought to you by Old Mutual Insurance Uganda Limited. And they are here to take us to class in terms of insurance, especially in business. And our theme today is how can insurance work for your business? Some of you look at insurance at arm's length from certain lenses, but we're here to give you some comfort that it is okay and what you need to know and what to do in order for insurance to work for you. We're going to discuss that. My guest tonight is Miss Nancy Ashaba, underwriting manager, Old Mutual Insurance Company. As I said earlier, Old Mutual Insurance Company are the ones who are bringing you this show today. They are our sponsors today, and we are glad to have them as partners. Nancy, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've always told people that here on The Link, we're in class, and I'm glad to have you as our teacher today.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
All right.
Yes.
A most important question we need to, first of all, just touch a little bit is, I've been in the media for long, over 20 years, and I know that there was once UAP Old Mutual, now we have Old Mutual. Tell us about that change.
Right. Thank you. We rebranded in July 2025 from UAP Old Mutual to Old Mutual Insurance Uganda Limited. Okay. We've been in the industry for over 180 years, and we've just not rebranded, but we've come with some innovations. Yeah. Right now, people are able to access products digitally. We have travel insurance that one can purchase online. We have personal accident cover. We have Serenicare. So we've come up with such innovations along with the rebrand. So it's just not about the name change. Okay. And also we're committed to fulfilling our obligations as your insurers, as your preferred insurers, as we walk along this journey.
Very interesting. I like digital. You know, a long time ago, I used to see an advert of a certain institution saying you can do things when you're in your bed on your phone. And I was like, that's a fuss. But I believe that now. And once like Old Mutual goes online, I like to get my insurance on the phone without sweat. The convenience. And I'm glad you are going there with the name change as well. And I also believe that Old Mutual, correct me if I'm wrong, is arguably Uganda's biggest insurance company.
We are the market leaders, so you're correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you are agreeing with me. But these are facts, as per the reports that are released by the regulator. So
absolutely,
we are here in the studio with the biggest insurance company in Uganda.
We are the market leaders.
All right.
Yes.
Nice to know. Now, startups and SMEs, Nancy, typically, there's a way they deal with insurance, as we said in the introduction, at arm's length. And some of them are actually scared about insurance. Tell us from your standpoint as the underwriting manager, how does insurance work for me if I'm in business? I'm in a supermarket, trader, boutique. How does insurance work for me?
All right, thank you. Like you rightly put it, most people do not prefer insurance. Yeah. But it's one way someone can secure their finances. Sorry about that. Yeah. You realize that when you're starting up a supermarket or any business, you invest a lot of capital to purchase maybe the stock that you're going to sell, the equipment that you're going to use. Yeah. So if all that is not insured, then definitely if any incidents happen and that stock is damaged, or maybe your shop is damaged as a result of fire, it means you get to lose out. Okay. So if you're not insured, then it means that you'll have to get money out of pocket. However, if the perils that have caused the incident, you can come to Old Mutual Insurance and then we compensate you. Right. So it's very important that people out there actually opt for these insurance services because they come in handy. They really come in handy. Instead of looking at insurance at an arm's length, it's very important for people to purchase these covers so that they cushion themselves and also get that peace of mind, in addition to that financial aspect.
Let's take the example, Nancy, of a supermarket. And I know viewers generally watch with a pen. I have a supermarket. What are the things what are the risks I'm likely to face, and therefore insurance?
Okay, so if you own a supermarket, there are quite a number of insurance classes that we would recommend. I'll give an example of fire insurance. Now, when you talk about fire, the layman may think we're just only looking at incidents that arise as a result of an actual fire. But there are allied perils that come with that insurance package. We look at fire, we look at lightning, we look at the storms, we look at the floods.
Even lightning?
Even lightning. We look at the impact. So for a supermarket owner, I would encourage them to take up a fire insurance cover so that if anything happens to their commodities as a result of those perils I've mentioned, a few perils I've mentioned, then they are compensated. Also, in addition to that, I've noticed that most supermarkets are usually along the road.
Yes, that's
so a vehicle can
run into
the supermarket. So that kind of impact is also covered by the fire insurance policy. So it's not just about the fire. Of recent, we've seen a lot of floods, especially downtown.
Yes.
So imagine all those people were insured. Trust me, they would right now be compensated because the incidents that happened are actually covered by insurance under the fire insurance policy. Another policy I would recommend a supermarket owner to probably, when I talk about supermarket owners, I also look at any other SME out there or any other business owner.
Kabotik.
Yes, they can also take up like a burglary cover, which of course mainly looks at forcible entry and exit. Most times you lock up in the evening and go home, not knowing what will happen in the night. And if someone maliciously comes into your store.
Let's say it's plainly thieves.
Yes. Yes, if a thief comes in and breaks into your store, into your supermarket, and you're able to demonstrate that there was a forcible entry or exit, then that burglary insurance policy picks up such a peril. And also among other classes of insurance, I mean, there are people who are employed in these businesses to run on a day-to-day. So I would encourage those business owners, the supermarket owners, the boutique owners to extend workmen compensation cover to their employees. I mean, this also is a mandatory cover as per the Ugandan laws, the WCA Act 2000. So it's very important that these business owners also offer insurance to their employees. What are we going to be covering under such a cover? We look at medical expenses if they're injured at work or if they're involved in an accident.
And they travel a lot on borders.
Yes, especially on their way to work and back home.
Work,
Yeah, if anything happens to them, such a policy will definitely pick up such a case. Then, God forbid, should someone die as a result of course, such an incident, or even some illnesses that are covered, we would be able to compensate them up to 5-year earnings of their of that deceased employee. Definitely, they will not get to enjoy that benefit, but their next of kin or their family members get to enjoy that benefit.
And dignifies them, and the business also is responsible without carrying all the risk on their own.
Definitely. Imagine if you're not insured, it means you have to dig out of pocket. But if you have insurance in place, then you know your financial burden has been transferred to your insurer, Old Mutual Insurance Uganda Limited. So we'll then be able to compensate in such incidents. Then, of course, even disabilities are covered under such a policy. You've talked about border borders. Imagine you're on a border going to work and you break your leg and you're permanently incapacitated. So you'll be able to get compensation if you have a workman compensation cover. So there are quite a number of covers that we could talk about, but I'll leave it at that for now.
You have covered very many sensitive areas, protecting stock, protecting premises, and protecting the people working in these premises.
Yes.
We'll go for a short break now, and we are coming back still talking about insurance and your business. And we have an expert in the studio today, Miss Nancy Ashaba, underwriting manager, Old Mutual Insurance Company, the Uganda insurance company. If you want to argue with me, please don't, because the numbers show that. And they're here to teach us about insurance. And this show is made sure by them. That's Old Mutual. Coming back after the break. Welcome back from that break, and we're continuing our discussion on insurance and your business. Remember, there's an insurance week coming up soon, and we are going to talk briefly about it at the end of the show. And this show is brought to you by Old Mutual Insurance Company Uganda Limited. They're the ones who are bankrolling us today so that you can be able to listen to this subject. We're in class, by the way. I hope you have your phone or your pen and paper and you're writing down. Before we went for the break, we were discussing the areas in which business can be helped by insurance. And Nancy mentioned fire, which has many things, including floods, burglary, thieves, break into your premise, and then, of course, workman's compensation, which is your workers as they're jumping on a border and then they break their leg and so on. You don't need to fork from your pocket as a business to pay for their medicals. Insurance will cover you. So Nancy, coming back to you, for insurance to work for me as a business, as earlier you mentioned, what do I need to bear in mind? Because I know that when I come for a policy, it's an undertaking between both of us. On my side as the insurance policy holder, what do I need to bear in mind, even if insurance is covering me?
Okay. Insurance is governed by quite a number of principles, and among them we have what we call utmost good faith. Okay. So that's one of the principles that we really use when we are dealing with our clients and customers. Yeah. So we'll expect you to avail us with information. First of all, information about yourself, the know your customer information. So our expectation is that those details are accurate and you're not lying about any information that you've provided. Then also we have what we call proposal forms that collect information that relates to the risk you want us to cover. So usually you know your exposure best. Yeah. So you'll ascertain the sums insured. So like an example we used of a supermarket, you know the stock that you have. So you give us that information, so that on our side then we're able to determine the premium that is payable. Yes. Then for cases where the exposure is very high, usually above 5 billion Ugandan shillings, we might even put a risk engineer, someone to conduct a risks assessment before we even onboard you as a client. Somebody to come on board and take a look. Yes, to confirm whether there are any measures that you could implement to improve the risk, or if there are any gaps where we can come in and advise you to improve the risk. So we need all that information for us to determine the premium that is payable, and we do not only stop at that. So of course, after we've come up with a premium payable, we issue with a policy document, and then we do those client visits after service sales. Then also, in the incident that you get a claim, definitely now we also come in and fulfill our obligation as your insurer. So I'll probably give the details of how you can contact us if you're interested in that, partaking that insurance package, so that maybe every class has a different requirement, so I cannot really list all the requirements on this show, but I'll give details, our contact details, so that whoever is interested can reach out, and then we maybe tell them if for burglary you need ABCD, for workman compensation you need ABCD. Okay. Yeah. Let's take an example, sticking around to what you have just said there. Supermarket, and I am insured for burglary, thieves breaking in. What still do you require me? There's something you mentioned about you reducing the risk or managing the risk, even if Old Mutual insures me. What are some of the things in burglary that you would require me? Not in terms of paperwork, but in terms of maybe my premise, for example. What could I do, for instance? Okay, for burglary in particular, we expect you to, if you're a supermarket owner, first of all, we expect you to have CCTV cameras in place, so that at any one time you're able to monitor activities that are ongoing within your business. Then also we expect you to have security people on your premises.
Okay.
I mean, when you go home, someone should be able to monitor activities
keep
that are
watch.
happening in the night. Yes.
Yeah.
So those are some of the warranties that we expect that we incorporate in our policies, especially for burglary, so that you're able to like to demonstrate that if an incident happened, at least you had a watchman in place, or you had CCTV cameras. Also, in addition to that, we expect you to keep your books properly. Your record keeping should be top notch, because we don't want an incident where you're telling us I had $1 billion worth of stock.
And there's no proof for it.
And there's no proof for it. You can't demonstrate that maybe this is what you had at the start of the month, this is what went out. So you have to also keep your records properly.
Very good.
Yeah.
So now I've done those things, Nancy, and I'm okay. And these guys come anyway. Maybe they injure the guard and all that. At the point when that happens, how do I engage the insurance? What do I do at that point? I have a policy, I've tried my best, and now I'm thinking, they still manage to beat the system. Now I'm calling Old Mutual. Talk me through what happens there once an incident has happened to when you guys come in.
Okay. So when such an incident happens, definitely you may call us directly, our call center toll-free number, or you may even call your intermediary. We've seen people now can send emails using their phones, so they can even send an email notifying us about the incident. So for starters, if you've not attached evidence or photos of what happened, we engage an assessor who will definitely come to your premises to ascertain what happened and the extent of that exposure or the incident, so that then we are also able to make our reserves, so that we are able to pay your claim. But before we even get to paying your claim, we've assessed the premises, and indeed there was a forcible entry or exit.
You're not forging.
No, there's no. It is an actual claim.
Yes.
So these assessors that we work with, they also give us the quantum of the loss, and when after the assessed amount is ascertained, they will tell us that, well, this is the amount this person is entitled to. Now, for the record, I want to say that we do not pay 100%.
That's a good point.
There's something we call excess, and this excess is a contribution that the insured makes towards a claim. So for cases where we're insuring 100%, for burglary to be specific, every insured contributes a 10% of each and every claim
of whatever happened.
Minimum 200,000 shillings as per the IRA guidelines. So depending on what happened after that excess has been deducted, the assessed amount, the final assessed amount is a reflection of the actual payout you receive as the insured. Well, there are also requirements at that level. So like I said, you'll have to provide evidence of your bookkeeping. You need to show us that, yes, I had this stock and this is what was stolen, so that we are able to assess vis-a-vis the outcome of the loss adjuster's report. So at that point also, usually we have what we call insurable interest. You need also to be able to demonstrate that you're the rightful person who is entitled to that
claim.
Yes. Otherwise, if you can't prove ownership, then definitely we'll also have issues. But that usually we ensure we align at the onboarding stage, so that when you get a claim, we don't go through that process.
I just love all those points you have brought up, because people don't know. And that's why they say, these insurance guys we insure, and then they don't pay us. Yet the problems, there are those issues. People need to know. You need to prove, because the insurance company is also forking money. They need to know that we are forking money to the right claim and the right person. Our final question, Nancy. Insurance Week is coming. What's the big deal?
Well, we are ready for everyone out there. The Insurance Week starts on 19th of this month. Please be ready, and you're invited to attend in person. We're going to be located here at City Square for people who are based in Kampala. We're going to be all over the region as well, in Barra, Arua, name it. So wherever you are, please make sure you come and attend. I also must highlight that This Insurance Week is sponsored by the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda. So it is very important that people really come and support us.
Yeah.
And Old Mutual will have a booth. Please make sure you show up and support us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
How would I not encourage people to go to Old Mutual? She might be there, or there may be other people. And if you feel that I've not asked your questions sufficiently enough, you go to that booth and ask face to face, where there are no cameras and everything else, and they will give you the satisfactory answer. And make sure you get satisfied before you leave, so that you can then tomorrow go and subscribe to insurance and use it in your business. Thank you very much, Miss
Miss.
Yes. Nancy Ashaba, Underwriting Manager, Old Mutual Insurance Company, for educating us. We hope we added value to you. That was The Link, brought to you by Old Mutual Insurance Uganda Limited. Good night.